Did you know that you could make dustless item filters in Minecraft? Now, before I show you how to build these filters, I'm going to show you why going dustless is important. This redstone dust right here, this whole line, is ticking on and off. Even this one right all the way down here, as you can see on the top there, in the top center, it is ticking on and off and on and off and on and off. And this is ticking on and off as well, going between 15 and 0. On the end down there is 1 to 0. What you might not know what is happening, because you might just be seeing it ticking on and off, and as far as you know, that's just two states. However, how redstone dust works is a whole lot more like this. Each and every one of these pulses over here is essentially doing this. And this is still only showing half of what's going on. Each time this redstone dust gets powered, it's doing this in reverse. So instead of it only cascading backwards whenever it gets turned off, it also cascades forwards whenever it gets turned on. But it does it all within one game tick. These things are very laggy for your single player frames, as well as for a server too, whenever you scale these up to a massive scale. Now, most other somewhat dustless solutions usually look something like this. This is kind of a pseudo dustless, even though like it still uses dust, but it only ticks the redstone dust up by 1. Let me go ahead and just stick that in there, that way you can see. It ticks it up to power level 3 using the same mechanics as the impulse item filter, but it uses only 1 redstone dust, and whenever it gets down to 41, it ticks back down to 2. So this is as efficient as it can get, but the problem with this are these things right here, these pistons. As of 1.16, these got a whole hell of a lot more laggy on your client than redstone dust, and they were also fairly laggy even before that as well. Now, some other designs also used droppers, but same sort of story there. Still, an alternative was reducing the redstone dust to 0 updates by comparing like this, but that would mean you're losing the tileability by doing something like this, and now all of a sudden you have to have a block space between half of your sorters, because you can put one right here, I guess. But this problem still lies that you're still using either pistons or droppers. Now, as of 1.21, we now have the copper bulb, which, as we all know, is quite the revolutionary thing, and we can pretty much now do the exact same thing that we were doing with pistons or droppers with these, and get much more lag efficient. Now, side note, I would recommend using the completely oxidized version as opposed to the unoxidized, just simply so that you can get a little bit better lag efficiency with less light updates as well. Just place a little torch around somewhere. You can slap a torch literally right there and remove all lighting updates basically. Or, even like right here. Anywhere like that will work. So now we can get the benefits of doing pretty much exactly the same thing that we were doing with pistons and droppers, but now actually having the actual benefit of being less laggy than redstone dust. And another problem with those other ones is double hopper speed got very complex when you were using pistons or droppers. Whereas with the copper bulbs, it's nice and simple and compact, and you can essentially use the same exact setup. We got 2 observers here. We got 2 observers here. We're using both of them for the copper bulbs here and for the same filter, and it works like a charm. And another great benefit of these is that they can be nicely stacked on top of each other as close as possible, leaving a gap in between for a water stream without having to use an A-B setup. Obviously, this has the same caveats of if you want true dustless, then you need this sort of layout, and if you want tileable, then unfortunately you have to use at least 1 redstone dust, but it has the benefit of it is just like before. It is only updating 1 power level each time, so it is the minimum amount of redstone updates that you can possibly get while still using redstone dust. Now let's show you how to build them. So starting with our chest and our hoppers here, we are going to start with the block out here. Then we're going to go ahead and grab let me go ahead and change this out for a completely waxed. That way you can follow along with the exact same builds, the exact same things. And whoops, grab that. So then we're going to have a block here right next to this, and diagonally we're going to have a copper bulb. Then we're going to have a comparator right here pointing into a block. We're going to have an observer pointing down like this with an observer facing like this. Then we're going to go ahead and grab a glass right here with a comparator like this. Grab your dust like this. It'll tick that on. That's fine for right now. We can go ahead and grab a glass right here and grab that right there. Then we want to go ahead and grab a composter, and you want to fill this up to 1 and 2 fill levels. This should stay on just like this, and this comparator should be on, locking this hopper. You should be able to put anything in here and nothing will come out. Now at this point, you want to fill it up just like you would an impulse item filter. You want 4 dummy items and 41 regular items. You put in any more, it turns off and drains down to 41 and stops just at 41. Now, if you want to use this in the true dustless version, then you want to go ahead and break these right here. Then come around to either side of this comparator here. Glass block, glass block. It can be really any, well, this right here needs to be a glass block or a top half slab, but this one right here can be any block because you're just going to put a comparator on it. Then you're going to go ahead and grab your composter, and I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3 levels and a redstone dust. We can go ahead and check that, make sure that is at power level 3 on the far right side there, and it is. Then we can break this redstone dust here and put a note block. Now, just like before, we can grab 4 filler items and put our filter items in there, and they will drain all the way down to 41. Now, if you want to make this compatible with double hopper speeds, go ahead and grab a block right here, your bulb right here with a comparator on top. Then you want a full block on right next to this bottom hopper here with a comparator on it. Then you want any block right down here with a comparator pointing into this full block that this comparator is on top of. Then you want a full block pointing just like this. Once again, just like before, with a observer pointing down and an observer observing that observer. Then we want a copper bulb that this comparator is now reading, and right next to it, a block just like this. Then we want a block, a comparator, and a redstone dust. Then you want a composter that this comparator is reading with 1, 2 levels in it. You can go ahead and check that that is at indeed power level 2, and these should be on there. And then you can come in here and you can fill in your buffers. I'd say do this and this, just like that. And whatever item you are filling, have a stack here, have a stack here, and then filler items and put in your items. Now, if you want to make this truly dustless like before, go ahead and remove these right here. Slap yourself a note block right here. Grab some blocks on either side. Grab yourself a comparator. And grab yourself a dust. With your composter. And 3 levels filled. Make sure that's on 3 right there. And bada boom, bada bing. Then you can go in and set this up once again. And you can also lay them out in different layouts, such as this, to save a couple of blocks in your horizontal space. But that does make it a little bit taller in the vertical space. And you may have noticed it earlier in the video as well, but on these layouts for the true dustless, you can also set them up to have non-stackable items as your filler items, with only 18 in the actual thing. This is very similar to the old style of filters before Impulse came out with his video showing everybody that you can just extend it by 1 and give it overflow protection. However, this also gives the added benefit of not only do you have to waste time decrafting iron into nuggets and then renaming those nuggets with experience, you now also lose the possibility of any more of these items falling in and backing up your filter. This is obviously just by having a page with a book in a lectern with 15 pages, and it's turned to the 13th page. So tell me if you'd use these filters and if they'd be useful to you. Do you have a big enough storage system that you would kind of actually be willing to replace your impulse item filters with these? Let me know in the comments down below. And subscribe if you want to keep up on videos just like this.